I'm not hearing you, Jason.
Every week I know how to hit the thing. Come on, Jason. Come on, Jason. That's amateur hour. Amateur hour on my part. Welcome everybody to KGUN9's weekly streaming sports talk show. It's called The Huddle. It's with Pat Parris and me. And listen, if that's the biggest snafu, we'll be okay.
Yeah. No,
We'll be
we're okay. We got other issues going on around us. That's the least of our concern.
That's right. That's right. Hey, Pat, what I like about today is it's my favorite huddle poll question because we do this one every year, and it has to do with how many wins the Arizona football team is going to get.
Yep.
And I think last year, I think you did too. Too much with your heart and not with your head.
Yeah.
You got to do it with your head and not your heart.
Yes. Yes. What I will say this, we probably underestimated the difficulty of changing coaches, coordinators, everything, just because you have a talented quarterback and a super talented wide receiver coming back. We probably overestimated that and underestimated the coaching change.
And it wasn't the same team, and we kind of overlooked that a little bit too.
No. Okay. And what do they say? Every year you can have, 90% of the players return. It's still a new season. It's still a new feel. It's still a new family, a new team, so.
That's right. Okay, so our huddle poll question, how many games do you think the Arizona Wildcat football team is going to win this season? So we generally do 3 or 4 choices. So this is how I broke it down, right? The Vegas odds are 5.5, right?
Yep.
That for the over-under is 5.5. So, and that's kind of where I was at, if I was going to do the odds, I'd put it there. I mean, they're trying to get, the same amount of bets on each side, but that's where I was kind of at. And it's okay. We'll put it in the middle and have BB5 and CB6. And if you're overly optimistic and you want to go with D, you think they're going to pull out 7 wins here, which isn't crazy because, hey, if they go 5-5 in the Big 12 games, not the Big 12 conference because the Kansas State game is officially non-conference, but let's say they beat Hawaii and Weber State, right? And they go 5-5 the rest of the way. That's not crazy. So I don't have a big issue with D. And I don't have a big issue either with A, although I think that would be a disappointment because that would mean they would be going 2-8 in those 10 games.
Yeah.
So that's a no improvement over last year,
right? Yeah.
And so if you want to go with A, that's fine too. Pat, I think you're going to go with C. That's my guess. Did I guess right?
You guessed right. They're going to be let's be honest. They're a much better team, I believe, this year than last year in a lot of regard, especially when you've got new coordinators who seem to have this team firmly planted in 2025, not maybe back in the in the way football used to be played.
Well, they've had more time to work on this team.
They've had more time. They've had, this is, as Brent Brennan has been saying, this is the group that wanted to be here with me. It's not the group that was kind of, well, I guess we'll stick around, or the guys that left or whatever. This is much more of a Brent Brennan thumbprint on this roster. And I think that they're going to be a better team. That doesn't always translate into more wins. I could see them going 4-8 again. I really feel like they're going to do better than that. I'm with you. I can see 4, I can see 7, but I landed on 6 because why not shoot for a bowl game? Why not go 6 wins and make a bowl game? I don't care what bowl game it is. Let's just see this team have some fun and get to the next step, the next level. If they go 4 wins again, Jason, there are going to be some big changes coming. We know that Desiree Reed-Francois.
Well, part of it, though, is how you get to those wins.
Sure, I suppose, but I really think it's a bottom line. It's a bottom line situation for your head coach. This is not a job that you can hang around at 4-7 very long. And what we've seen from Desiree Reed-Francois is if you're not my hire and you're not winning, well, we can always go a different direction. We saw that with women's basketball. Obviously, men's basketball is in great shape. That's nothing to even be concerned about. But we see it with football. I feel like if Brent Brennan struggles and they don't win 6 or 7 or 5 or 6 games, then there would be a change. But yes, I said 6.
I put 6 into, I want to be optimistic. I want to be enthusiastic. That is only 4 and 6 in those games. I don't think the Big 12 is that great. Okay, I think they can squeeze out some wins here. what might be tough is they almost have to go 4-5 and not rely on that ASU win to do it.
Correct.
If ASU's anything like what they were last year. So you want to kind of get that done ahead of time. But I think there's a couple games in there that they should win, and maybe one or two that they can steal. And so I'm gonna do 6, and it's a combination head and heart. I talked to somebody, Pat, who's close to the team. I said, all right, give me who's at practice every day, whereas I'm not during fall camp. I said, okay, give me the skinny. What do you think? He said, well, they're going to be better coached this year. They're going to look more like a football team. Almost certainly they won't have the same injuries they had last year. Yeah. But yeah, they don't have the explosive players of T-Mac and a couple of the others. And so I can kind of see that a little bit. But I do think that Brent Brennan has more. It's more his team, and he's had more time to work on this team. Or he said last year, he was always playing catch up, and he was kissing the guy's butt to try to keep them to stay, and he was just kind of behind the 8 ball, right from the beginning. But I think Pat. So I'll stop there, and I'll hold the next thought. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say I actually talked to Ricky Hundley at the Indoor Football League Championship game on Saturday night at Tucson Arena. I talked to him for a minute, and he's very optimistic. I think he understands, and you hit on a couple of those key subjects that I've been harping on this whole offseason, that they just were way late in a lot of things they were doing last year. And I think it's a great point you made, is this is a team that was filled with a handful of stars that really were on the fence whether they were going to come back. And it seemed like that was the whole offseason focus, was just not only getting them to stay for spring ball, but then even after spring ball, remember, there's a time where they can transfer still after that. And that was, when you're trying to re-recruit guys who are already committed to go here, you're not getting there, that's emphasis. That's a lot of energy that's not being put into getting better on the field. And I think now you're seeing, with Seth Dagey as the offensive coordinator, he's got, as you pointed out in your story with him in our special, with Dagey and Noah Fafita, they have a great relationship already. I think Seth Dagey called him like a little brother, right? And so when you've got that kind of relationship, and Seth Dagey he's no joke when it comes to being an offensive coordinator.
And for Noah to have a former quarterback as his coach, just think about your profession at home, or Pat, my profession, or yours. If your immediate person did what you did at a high level and is there to help you every single day and be fantastic to you, that's got to make a difference.
I agree. And it's like when we go out on the golf course, just as an analogy, you go out on the golf course and you're playing with your buddies, and your buddies are like, your swing's kind of, try to do this. Are you going to listen to that? Or are you going to listen to the pro that maybe you get a chance, if you're playing in a pro-am or something, you get a pro with, and he's got a couple of tips, and man, you're hitting the ball straight all of a sudden. Same thing. He's going to see Noah Fafita take 2 steps back for a drop and say, no, do this. You know what you're doing? You're doing this. And that's the kind of stuff that, it's invaluable. I think we're going to see Noah Fafita get back, or even better, the form that we saw 2 years ago.
The ball's going to get out of his hands quicker, one way or the other.
A lot quicker. And when it doesn't come out because nobody's open, he's going to find the time to either roll out and find a guy, or he's going to run. We didn't see that much last year. He didn't have time, or when he did, he made wrong decisions. I think his decision making with a guy like Seth Dagey, who had a tremendous career making the right decisions, I think that's a winning combination. Now, winning as in 6-6, but that's still it's pretty good considering this team was not very good last year.
Yeah, Chubba May, a defensive player, has been moved to offensive line to try to help that group, and we'll see how much protection he has. Pat, we're going to know a lot more in that first game. We talk about that eye test, and we talk about how we saw Tommy Lloyd's teams come out of the gate that first year. Wait a second here. Yeah. We need to our expectations were maybe too low, And then we looked last year, and it was just kind of Noah Fafita playing catch with T-Mac in that first game against New Mexico, and the defense wasn't even that good. And they won 50-something to 20-something probably. And
I think it's 61-33 or something. Like, they gave up way too many points. Yeah.
That wasn't a team win. That was 2 guys playing pitch and catch, and the defense didn't look great. And, I think we're going to know a little bit more. And I think it's going to help Fafita to have all these multiple targets.
Yep.
I mean, we know Chris Hudson can catch, the receiver who most recently played with Washington State. We know he can do something. Uh, you can't coach and replace speed. This new Watley is probably I'm hearing and seeing is
Yep.
lightning fast. And they got Spivey's younger Junior Spivey's son, the former Diamondback,
Mhm.
Trey Spivey, comes over
Mhm.
for Kansas State, and they've got other wide receivers too. This guy, we didn't mention him in the special, and I haven't talked about him, but Gio Richardson might be a baller,
Oh,
Pat.
yeah.
This is the guy who was a star player, I think, at Basha and Chandler, and got hurt in the championship
Yeah.
game.
Yep.
Hopefully he has a good year. That'll be a great feature for us to do kind of next year on him. And the other freshman who looks really good is the running back, Wesley Yarborough. That guy, both of those guys don't look like freshmen. So we'll see
That's
how much they
encouraging.
contribute. Yeah.
Yeah, that's encouraging. And that's the other thing, we talk about the line and the protection for Noah Fafita, but they've got to establish a better, more dominant run game too, because if you're just going to throw all day, that's an easy thing for a defense to cover, right? So I think that that'll be key as well. We saw glimpses last year, uh, but nothing that was sustainable, and that's what was missing from 2 years ago. At least they had a run game, and they've got to get that back going again too.
I want to see a confidence. Okay, I'll allow one confusion on the coming up to the line of scrimmage. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
When he goes line of scrimmage, what's going on? Timeout, timeout,
Yeah.
One. You
No.
get one of Arizona football, you get one of those because it's the first game and Hawaii's already played a game. After that, I don't want to see any more, hey, confusions on the line. I want to see a
Yep.
confidence that they know the scheme and they know the plays and they're going out there and they're doing it. And they're not going to execute on every play. There's a defense out there that's going to try to stop them. Okay. Fia's going to miss a throw. A receiver's going to not catch one. But you know what I mean when I talk about
Yep.
the eye test against Hawaii.
Yeah.
They need to pass my eye test against Hawaii, win the game and pass my eye test for me to feel good about this 6 wins.
Yeah. And Hawaii, you don't undersell them. The fact that they've played a game means a lot, at least early in this game.
I do think so.
They'll
Yeah.
they'll have a definite advantage in that case. But if you watch that Hawaii Stanford game or saw any of the highlights, I saw a lot of the first half, and Hawaii's not good. Stanford
Yeah.
is not
That's
good
what
either.
others are saying.
Yeah, it just
That
Hawaii's
makes Stanford
okay.
look
They're
terrible,
okay.
though, Pat, if Hawaii's not good.
Yeah, no, they're not. They're not very good. Stanford is terrible. I feel for that team going to the ACC now, and all the travel. Do you see how much travel they've got this
When did they
coming
start in
season?
the ACC?
What's that?
When did they start in the ACC?
Last year. Yeah, they started last year.
Why did I think Stanford was in the Big Ten?
No, 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 no. They're in the ACC.
ACC. Okay, I'm
Yeah,
sorry. I got mixed
yeah,
up for a second. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
They're in with Boston College, Cal, Clemson, Duke. It's a big it's got more I think it's got more teams than the Big 12 has.
Yeah, our producer Ryan McClure says Hawaii was actually favored in that game. So
Yeah, no, and
and
they
it's a
should
17
be.
and a half point spread against Arizona.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
so the odds makers didn't look at that game and say, okay, Hawaii's somebody to be reckoned with, and they're
No.
playing a 4-8 team.
They have
They weren't impressed.
they have a quarterback that I think they kind of run almost like a run and shoot kind of like it could be a little bit of a chore for the defense of Arizona to kind of figure that out early on. It wouldn't surprise me if Hawaii scores a touchdown and a field goal or a couple of touchdowns fairly early in that game, and you're like, oh, this is going to be a real dogfight. But I think they'll get them figured out, and Arizona will pull away to win that game. 17 and a half is a lot of points, but yeah.
That's a lot of points.
Yeah, that's a lot of points for an Arizona team that's
But
an
sometimes
underdog.
sometimes that just kind of happens. If they win 44-24, it won't seem like that much. Sometimes it seems like
Yeah.
a lot, and then the game starts and it's like, maybe the other way. So
Yeah.
so it does sound like a lot, but you have to really, if you're going to pick Hawaii for the points, you have to think they've got a serious chance at winning the game. And don't forget, you could have a backdoor kind of cover situation too. I think if you're picking Hawaii, you have to really have you have to think they've got a serious chance of winning the game. Otherwise, I wouldn't pick Hawaii.
That's a lot of points either way. Most people will just not even touch that game if you're a betting type.
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
Yeah,
I
it's these
wouldn't. Why?
early
When you
games.
haven't seen Arizona play this year,
Yeah,
it's a lot of
there's a
points.
lot of unknowns in these first couple of weeks of the season, especially week 1, you know?
Yeah, yeah. So we do have an Arizona football special. It's dropping later this afternoon. It's going to be on KGUN's all of our streaming platforms. You know what they are. It's called Something to Prove. So I didn't think the title, Pat, was that edgy. Some people said it was. That's fine. You
Yeah,
know,
I don't think
uh,
I think what you don't wanna make it seem like, it's all or nothing. This is it for them. They have to prove it this season or they're out. No, I think as I said, I think that something to prove means, that Brent Brennan does belong in the Big 12 and
yeah,
that
they
his
could just prove they're
yeah,
going in the right direction.
go in the right direction, and that's it. Something to
Yeah,
prove is we're not 4-8, but we
right.
could be 6-6, and 6-6 is moving in the right direction.
Prove we can build a football team and compete at this level.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's that tough.
It
It's meant more for the coaching staff than the players,
yeah.
but whatever. I mean, I think it's a better title than owning. The
I will
university's going with owning the night. Now, listen, they're the marketing
yeah,
arm of,
yeah.
of the school, so we could have gone with own the desert night or something, or then it wouldn't even have a problem if we took their title, right? But
No, but
but I
yeah.
kind of like ours, and the strongest soundbite, and we've played this before in the news, is Danny Gonzalez, the defensive coordinator, saying, nobody expects us to do anything, and we're bugged by it. Okay,
Yeah,
that's
well,
that's
that's
good.
good. Chip on your
That's healthy.
shoulder.
I'm
You
fine with
gotta have
that.
a chip on your shoulder.
Yeah.
I will say this as a fan who goes to the games, I'm glad that it's at night because
Right.
it's brutal. This first half of the season can be awful if you suddenly get one of those 4 o'clock games or something. And on that note, we were concerned about, the Pac-12 dissolves, you go to the Big 12, and your concern is, well, how high profile is the Big 12 going to be when you've got a situation where the Big Ten and the SEC seem to dominate all the networks and the major TV games? Being Saturday night on TNT, I know it's 10:30 on the East Coast, and I know it's
Is
all
it a
that.
TNT game
It's a
Saturday?
TNT game. I
Oh,
should know
wow,
because
okay.
my older brothers are all engineers on
Right.
remote TV trucks, and my oldest brother's coming in to do this game, and it's the TNT game, and he's on the TNT TBS game of the week every week. So they're starting out here. It'll be their first game of the year on TNT.
Before we finish it up, Pat, and look at the results, before we look at the results of the huddle poll question, I forgot to give Ryan the video, but let's touch on the IFL championship. I know you'll want to
Yeah,
do that,
yeah.
right? Right. So Pat's a big IFL fan, way back from his, days covering the Arena Football League with the Iowa Barnstormers. But we
Mhm.
had the game here in Tucson, and you know what? It was a great game,
Yeah, it's
especially if
an
you like
amazing
offense,
game.
right?
How many lead changes you said last night?
I
There's
read that it was 17. I didn't double check it. I just went with it, to be honest
17
with you.
lead changes, and
But
it
it
was
it
almost
does sound about right because they
no.
just kept going back
It
and
it
forth.
neither team stopped the other one. They either scored a touchdown or one field goal, the entire way until the very last series and last play of the game when Vegas stopped Green Bay on the goal line. So it could have been an 18th lead change. It wasn't, and Vegas ended up winning.
And so Vegas won. Their quarterback, Jaden DeLora, played quarterback for Arizona, and their offensive coordinator, Curtis Chin, was the Tucson Sugar Skulls head coach. The connection with Green Bay is their offensive coordinator was the Sugar Skulls quarterback in their inaugural season
Matt
with
Barrett.
with,
Yep.
with Matt Barron.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you know what? I think fans got their money's worth, and it was certainly a lot of fun. It was great to have those storylines.
Yep.
It'd be
And I
neat if
heard,
one of the 3
well,
Arizona teams were in it next year, maybe
yeah,
maybe the
that's the
Sugar
key.
Skulls.
That's the
But
key. Yeah, I talked to I talked right after the game. You were on the field getting interviews, and I talked to Kevin Guy, the co-owner of the Sugar Skulls, but the head coach of the Arizona Rattlers, and he said that this was definitely better attended Saturday night than the last game in Vegas was when Vegas had the national championship game for the previous 3 years. And he said, like we've been saying, if you can get one of the 3 Arizona teams, Northern Arizona, the Arizona Rattlers, or the Tucson Sugar Skulls, if you could just get one of those in the championship, I guarantee it's a sellout. And that's what the hope is. That because the Rattlers have a great history of success. The Northern Arizona Wranglers won it a couple of years ago. So, it can happen, and hopefully next year it will. So it's a 3-year commitment. So at least the next 2 years will be here in Tucson.
all right, as we check the huddle poll question, we'll address Joseph Gonzalez's question. Will Noah run more this year? Jonathan, what do you need that for? Okay. Oh, it's a different person. Okay. So we're ignoring Jonathan. We're putting Joseph Gonzalez's question up here. Will Noah run more this year? Do we want him to? No. I don't think the plan is for him to run more this year. I think the plan is for him to get the ball out a little bit quicker
Yes,
and
but
to
I
hit
think
different wide receivers. If there's a spot to run, yeah, go for it. You situationally, but I don't think plan the Pat is for him to actually, hey, we know we need you to run more.
now what Joseph might be kind of alluding to, Jason, is do you remember the season that Jaden Delores started at quarterback, Noah Fafita ended up taking over, so 2 years ago? There was a lot more running by those two quarterbacks in situations where the play developed and there was nobody open. It was more of a feature for them to take off running after that couple of, you look, and then you take off. And maybe
Yeah.
that's what we'll see. I don't know.
They'll have a design draw for him, but it's not going to be a go-to play.
No,
It'll
no,
be,
no.
situationally, if they
It,
see something,
it
they'll
will
do a
be
draw, but that's
if
not going to be a
yeah,
big part of his repertoire.
especially
I'd
if the
be
field gets
surprised.
spread. Yeah, if the field gets spread, nobody's open, he'll take off. I think that's what you'd rather see than him forcing the ball, which we saw a lot more last year of him forcing the ball.
All right, let's
Hopefully,
take a look
yeah.
at our huddle poll question as we finish things up here. How many wins do you think Arizona football is going to get? A would be 4 or fewer, B 5, C 6, or D 7 or more. Wow, it's really split here. Okay, so and this one usually gets good traction online.
Yeah.
Pat, looks like a few more people say what we were saying, which is 34.6. You got some optimistic people here saying 23. I'm a little surprised A is as high as it is.
Nah, there's a lot of
Why?
right now. There's a lot of dissent. There's a lot of naysayers because they're still not convinced that Brent Brennan's the right guy. And you come off a 4-8 season, and I can see a little skepticism. To me, this is about where I would have thought. Maybe 5 would have had a little bit more,
I
but
would have
I would.
thought more to 5
Yeah,
and a little bit more to 6 even and less to 4. Yeah.
I think it's prove me wrong is what those 23.1% with 4 or fewer are saying.
Yeah. So, well, yeah, good way to put it. I know you said earlier, Pat, you went with 6. That's what I'm
Yeah,
going with
yeah.
here. And
Ryan, our producer, had it right. 55% say 6 wins or more. You look at it that way and you say, okay, then more than half the fan base thinks that they're going to be bowl bound.
that's a good way to put it.
Yeah,
For
yeah.
sure. For sure. Yeah. No, I like that. Good way to
So
look
we
at it,
shall
Ryan.
see. We shall see.
All right.
I'm with you. I mean, you'll know a lot after this first game, and definitely after the second game. If they're 2-0 and sitting pretty good, then 6 wins is a possibility. If not, then it might be 5 or less, or 5 or fewer.
Gotcha. All right.
Yep.
Well, we'll be back here next Tuesday. We'll dissect the game and break it down for you and give our thoughts on how Arizona did, and how the coaching staff did, and what everything looked like, and what was good and what was not good. We'll definitely get into it next Tuesday, and that's kind of the fun part of the job, really, is to go over those games. So, Pat and I will be back doing that next week. And thanks everybody for watching. It's the Huddle, KGUN's weekly streaming sports talk show. I'm Jason Barr, and with Pat Parris. We'll see you next Tuesday.